You are welcome to the Messiah Revelation channel, which is a prophetic channel. Today we are looking at the prophetic significance of Iran as a nation. We need to look at the nations that matter in Bible prophecy. We are in the end times. We are waiting the arrival of the Messiah. And as we look through the prophecies in the Bible, we need to know the people and the nations that matter in terms of Bible prophecy. And that's why we are focusing on Iran at the moment. I believe Iran is relevant in the time that we are in when we look at Damascus. There's a prophecy on Damascus. As you are aware, Damascus is one of the cities that are in prophecy. The prophecy in Isaiah 17 verse 1 says that Damascus will be in ruins and it will be a ruinous heap. Damascus will be desolated. And I believe that the desolation has already started, and the final desolation will come in the end times, and I believe it will come as a result of war. And so we have to analyze the relationship between Syria and Iran at this time, and Iran using Syria as a proxy, as a theater to project her power in the world, and the potential consequences when we look at the relationship between Israel and Iran, and also Israel and Syria. And so something could happen in Damascus that will have some links or some relevance when we are talking about Iran, and that could trigger the final desolation of Damascus. So when we're talking about the prophecy relating to desolation of Damascus, we have to also look at Iran and how Iran could be part of the puzzle regarding Isaiah 17 verse 1. Iran was also mentioned specifically in Ezekiel 38. Ezekiel 38 talks about the end time powers that will invade Israel in the last days, and the prophecy is very heavy. Those nations will be destroyed. It will be God, the Most High God, who will do the destruction of the powers when they enter Israel. Some members of the channel believe that the Ezekiel prophecy will be fulfilled when the true Israelites are in place. And when we're talking about the Israelites, we are talking about the Hebrews who are scattered all over the world. And so you should know that Iran is very important in the life of the Hebrews who are scattered over the world, because Iran is part of the Ezekiel powers that will enter Israel in the last days to look for spoils in Israel, and the Lord will intervene in a supernatural way. Ezekiel 38 and 39 talks about that war. Unfortunately, the US is not mentioned in that war. And so there's a prophetic question: what will have happened to United States during the time of the Ezekiel war? Iran definitely will be around, at least to participate in the Ezekiel war as described in chapter 38 and chapter 39 of the book of Ezekiel. So regardless of whatever happens to Iran, Iran will not be wiped out from the face of the earth. You've seen some comment by some warmongers that they will wipe Iran from the face of the earth. Prophetically, that is impossible, because if you are talking about Iran, you are talking about an Ezekiel power, and Iran has to be around at least to participate in the Ezekiel war. And so Iran is not going anywhere, at least. Um, for the purpose of Ezekiel 38, Iran will continue to exist, and it will be at least a powerful nation, and it will be one of the coalition that will invade Israel in the last days. I have to be very careful, because when we're talking about Israel, my position is that the true Hebrews are still scattered over the world. These are the people who went into captivity in ships, because the Lord told Moses that the children of Jacob will go into Egypt again, and they will go in ships. And they went into ships during the transatlantic slave trade. And some of the Hebrews are scattered over the world, in Patros, in Hamas, in Cush, and the islands of the sea. And so we are looking at the fulfillment of Ezekiel 38, and how Iran will fit into the puzzle. Iran will fit into the puzzle because it is specifically mentioned in Ezekiel 38. A lot of people were predicting that Iran will even attack, invade Israel, and these prophecies were wrong, or actually they were misinterpreted. And one of the prophecies was made by Pat Robertson before he died. As you are aware, he predicted that Donald Trump will be elected as president of the United States in 2020. Then there will be a war in the Middle East, a war between Iran and Israel. The first part of the prophecy didn't come true, because it was not Donald Trump who won the US presidency elections in 2020. And we have not seen Iran directly attacking Israel, at least for the moment. And so the prophecy, so-called prophecy, that came from the mouth of Pat Robertson was false. It was a false prophecy. And there are so many people who are misinterpreting prophecy, particularly when it's laid to Israel, is laid to the children of Jacob, and when it's laid to the so-called Middle East, because they look at the world from the point of view of America, and therefore their projections are wrong. Their so-called prophecies are wrong. Iran is a major power that will exist for the purpose of Ezekiel 38. And I believe that the final destruction of Iran will come after or during the Ezekiel 38 invasion of Israel. Iran is also relevant in the wars that are going on. When we look at the proxy war in Ukraine, Ukraine war is a proxy war. It is a proxy war because the West and NATO are using Ukraine as a theater to wage war against Russia. And there's no question about it. It's a proxy war. And Iran is part of the proxy war. Iran is supplying Russia with weapons, with drones, and other kinds of support. And so Iran is also part of the Ukraine war. And to the extent that the Ukraine war will lead to world war, you you agree with me that Iran is a major power, is a major part of the international community at this time, particularly when we look at the war in Ukraine and Iranian support for Russia. So Iran is a major power in the end times, at the time when the final trumpet of heaven have sounded. We see the alignment of powers, and you see the close relationship between Iran and Russia, and these are part of the nation that will participate in a coalition to invade Israel in the end times, in the last days. We are in the last days, and so that prophecy will be fulfilled very shortly. Ezekiel 38 will be fulfilled very shortly, and Iran will be part of it because prophecy has to be fulfilled. Iran is also relevant in the end times when we talk about Islamic eschatology. The Muslims are expecting an end time Messiah, the Mahdi, and they project or they predict, they prophesy that the Mahdi will come, and he's an end time Messiah for the Shiite, and Shiite eschatology expect him anytime. In the same way that the Hebrews are expecting the return of the Messiah. And when I talk about the Hebrews, I'm talking about the believing Hebrews, or those who are waiting on the Messiah, Yeshua, Jesus Christ. Hebrews 9:28 says that he will come the second time for those who are waiting on him. And those who are waiting on him should be patient. The Messiah will come, and the Shiite also expect their own Messiah. It's not the Messiah that we are looking for. The Shiite Messiah is called Mahdi, and they believe that an apocalyptic event will have to take place in the world on a global scale in order to expedite the arrival of the Mahdi, the Shiite Mahdi, the Islamic Mahdi. And so for Iran, an apocalyptic event like attacking Israel will be necessary for the arrival of the Mahdi. So when we see tensions going on between Iran and Israel, we have to look at those in the context of the Shiite eschatology, that a violent event or a major event in the world is necessary, because that will expedite the arrival of the Shiite Mahdi. So we are living in perilous times as Christians are expecting Yeshua, Jesus Christ. The Shiites are also expecting their Mahdi, and any apocalyptic event that happens in the world will be necessary in the shared eschatology for the arrival of their Mahdi. So Iran, as a leading Shiite nation, is relevant in the end times as apocalypse continues in the whole world. I did a video on the Strait of Hormuz. In that video, I saw in a vision a man running down on a strip of road, the Strait of Hormuz, and I concluded based on that vision that something is going to happen around the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is controlled by Iran, and that strait um, is a strait that accounts for 20% of oil supply in the world. And when we see tensions escalating between Iran and Israel, then you expect that something could happen to the Strait of Hormuz. I'm not sure what's going to happen in the Strait of Hormuz, but you are aware that the strait is controlled by Iran, and Iran, by controlling the Strait of Hormuz, will be able to control at least 20% of world oil supply. Is an event going to happen that will trigger a war that will involve the Strait of Hormuz? We are living in perilous times. We are living in the end times. And we are living at a time when Iran is prophetically important in the world. And when tension arose as a result of Hamas' attack on Israel, a lot of people are talking about Iran, particularly the Americans are talking about Iran, and there was a hearing about Iran in the U.S. Congress, or they are going to have a hearing on intelligence regarding Iran. And people are speculating that the escalation of the Hamas war, the Gaza war, could lead to direct confrontation between the United States and Iran. If that happens, what will be the repercussions? Definitely, it will implicate Iran's relationship with Russia, and you can expect that Russia may involve in any future hostility involving Iran. And we are living in perilous times. You remember that in 1973, when there was the Yom Kippur War, a war between the Arabs and Israel, it nearly led to a third world war. It nearly led to a nuclear war between Russia and United States, as Russia supported the Arab nations and the United States also supported Israel. The 1973 Yom Kippur War nearly led to a nuclear war between the Soviet Union and the United States. Similarly, an attack on Iran by the West could also lead to a confrontation, direct confrontation between Russia and the United States. Regardless of how you look at it, Iran is a major power in the end times, at least as we talk about the fulfillment of the prophecy on desolation of Damascus, as we also talk about the Ezekiel prophecy about the invasion of Israel in the end times, and as we also talk about a potential direct confrontation between Iran and Israel, and also between Iran and the United States. We are living in perilous times, and prophetically anything can happen. Any activities in the Middle East involving Iran could lead to a potential world war, and this event will trigger the rapture. It will trigger tribulation. Anything at all is possible. You have to remember, we are living at the time of the sounding of the final trumpet of heaven. And I believe, based upon a vision that I had in March 2017, that a major event will happen in the world, and that will trigger the tribulation, and that will also trigger the rapture. Is the event going to happen in the Middle East? As we ponder on this prophetic revelation, we have to watch Iran and how Iran fits into end time prophecies. Watch the video, share the video to all the four corners of the earth. Subscribe to the channel. I'm leaving the links of this video in the description box. Thank you for watching this video.